Beep beep. Are you looking for cozy games that won't hurt your wallet, that are cheap or even free? Or maybe you're just someone who really wants to support small indie studios and solo devs. Maybe you're just the kind of person that gets a little hit of joy whenever you discover something before other people do. Someone who likes to find hidden gems. You little hipster you. If any of what I just said resonates, then I have got a banger list of games here for you today. Listen, every game on this list is free. I personally played every single one of them and I had such a good time. So I can guarantee that all of these are quality experiences and they range across genres from simulator games like farming, cafe management, post office management, and also narrative games, fashion games, puzzle games. We basically just got a whole boatload of cozy games. And these games are all on PC, but the good news is that you don't need a big fancy gaming rig to be able to play them. Some of these games are even playable on the browser. They are not demanding games, so I think most people should be able to play them no matter what computer or laptop you have. Now, if you just want to skip straight to the list of free games, you are welcome to do that. I'm going to have the timestamps listed in the description so you can just scrub through the video, jump ahead a few minutes. But if you want to stick around for a little explanation, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what platform I found these games on, how to find more cozy games that are cheap or free, and yeah, just give you a little more background. So all of the picks on today's list are from a platform called itch.io. Itch.io is a platform and website where people can host, play, and purchase indie games, both downloadable and browser-based. And some are even free or pay what you want. There are also tabletop games, game assets, comics, zines, music, and more on Itch. Itch also hosts game jams where people make games on certain themes. For example, this recent, very relevant Cozy Fall Jam 2025. They also have bundles where you can get a group of games at a discount. Some of these are in support of important charity initiatives, like the 2024 Palestinian Relief Bundle. I think Itch is a treasure trove if you're looking for hidden gems, even more so than Steam. And I think that's for two reasons. One, Itch has no fee to upload your game to it. Anyone can do it with no money in your pocket. Whereas with Steam, you do have to pay a $100 fee to get your game on there. Also, because Steam does have a higher barrier to entry, not just with the fee, but also just with the requirements and the things you have to submit in order to get your game up. A lot of devs like to put their games on Itch first, kind of collect feedback, improve their game, and then put it on Steam at a later date. However, a lot of games that are put on Itch never make it to Steam at all. I mean, sometimes that's not the goal. Sometimes the creators don't want to put it on Steam, which means you find a lot of games on Itch that you would never find if you were just hunting through Steam. So what I just said makes Itch sound really cool, right? Like they took away that barrier to entry so anyone can have their game on Itch, which is awesome. However, I do want to, as a quick aside, briefly get into a little controversy here that Itch has been kind of a part of as of earlier this year. This is just going to be like a brief little bit of doom and gloom, and if you want to skip to the games, feel free to skip ahead. But basically, Itch is not a utopian platform where anyone can host their game. I think that's what they were going for, but that's not really the case anymore. Earlier this year, due to pressure from a conservative, turfy nonprofit org, payment providers like MasterCard and Visa decided to stop processing payments on game platforms that host content that they deem in violation of their standards. Unfortunately, this has resulted in a widespread delisting of many games with adult or NSFW content on both Steam and itch.io. Hey, what's up? It's me from the future editing this video. I realized I'd confused some terminology here a little bit and also didn't define it, so let me just go ahead and do that. So what has happened here is that Itch and Steam have de-indexed many games. So in the context of itch.io, the developer actually defined this term themselves, so let me read their definition. They said, de-indexed means a state where a project is removed from all public discovery channels on itch.io. A de-indexed page will not appear in search results, browse pages, or recommendations. However, the page is otherwise fully functional and will appear normally in collections, libraries, and profile pages. Access to files included on the page are not restricted in any way. Basically, your game still exists on the platform if it's de-indexed, but it's effectively almost impossible to discover unless people go directly to the page link or go to your profile and look at it. So, not good. Also, I use the term delist here sometimes and remove, but I'm not specifying where it's being removed from, so just know that I meant de-indexed, which means removal from search results and browsed in Itch. Okay, I'm gonna throw it back to past me now. Woo! This doesn't just target games that promote harmful subject matter like abuse. This also unfairly targets many other categories of games. For example, games that thoughtfully discuss difficult subjects like assault, and games that depict queer experiences and characters, even if they are suitable for work. So this is a problem that's way bigger than itch. As I mentioned, Steam also delisted games due to this pressure, but I think something about itch delisting games hits a little different because itch even self-describes itself on its own platform as an open marketplace and a platform that enables anyone to sell the content they've created. Anyway, itch has reindexed some of the games they took down before, like at least the free ones, and I think they're in the process of figuring out how to reindex more of them over time. At least that's what they've stated. If you care about this and want to learn more or take action somehow, I've left some links in the description. But essentially the most effective thing to do at this point is to put pressure on payment providers like MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, etc., because they're the ones kind of holding itch hostage in the situation. Anyway, I didn't want to not bring that up because I feel like it's really important to address that this censorship is happening. As I said, this is something that I worry about a lot because I'm queer and I want to support queer games, and generally itch is a place I've thought of as a place that is open to having games on there that depict a wide variety of the human experience. So it hurts me to know that people have had their games unfairly delisted for no reason, even fully suitable for work games. That said, there's still many games that still remain on itch that are cozy games that I think are worth talking about, which is why I put this list together. Okay, now it's time to get into our list of games, but I want to go over what my criteria was. All the games on this list had to be free. Many of them are pay what you want, which means you can optionally give them money, or they might be like a recommended price, but you are also totally okay to download it for free or play it for free. I decided I only wanted to have games on this list that aren't on Steam because that means they are more hidden gems. So all of these games at the time of recording this video are only on itch.io. These are all PC games, but they're on Windows, Linux, and Mac, depending on the game. Some are playable in the browser and some are downloadable. One note about downloading these games, just keep in mind, it might be different for your system, but for me, because I'm on Windows, it will give you a warning sometimes where it's like, hey, are you sure you want to run this? So you just have to click on more info and click run anyway. These games are all safe. Like, I personally tested all these games, so don't worry, it's not malware. But of course, use your own discretion. But don't be freaked out, basically. If you've never seen warnings like this before, you tend to see these kinds of things with smaller pieces of software that aren't like licensed by big corporations, I guess. And with that, let's get into the first game on this list, which is called An Average Day at the Cat Cafe. Cats, ducks, and mysterious beings galore. All manners of creatures line down the block to get your signature drinks. But how long can you keep the cafe open when strange customers arise in the night? So this is a cafe management game. Overall, this game just feels really polished. I love the music. This is definitely one of those games where you get kind of lost in the flow of it, get really hyper-focused on getting your orders correct and doing them quickly enough. So there is like a slight time pressure there, so just keep that in mind if you're someone who doesn't like that. I found it satisfying. The animals are really cute. There's so many different kinds of customers that come in, and I really like that there's a whole shift thing where it's like day shift versus night shift, and like at night you get different kinds of customers coming in. I'll just say that. I don't want to spoil it, but I do think this game has a great sense of humor. It's very silly. I played this for 30 minutes, but I could have easily continued. Like, it felt really good to play. Sound effects were really good. The drinks and the food looked really good, which I feel like matters a lot in games like this. And because there is a time pressure, as I said, I feel like I felt rewarded because as I got better at remembering recipes and kind of just like knocking them out more quickly, it felt like I was rewarded for that because I could make more customers happy. Overall, I just love the vibes of this game. And I think if you're someone who likes more like cafe management, but specifically focused on the creation of the recipes type games, then you'll like this one. This most closely reminds me of just Galaxy Burger, because that's a game I've been playing a lot recently and loving, but with the time pressure. The next game on this list really surprised me with its quality, just because, you know, it's another farming game, and I thought, you know, I've seen it all with farming games. I've played so many, but this one actually had some new interesting elements to it. And the game I'm talking about is Tiny Dream World. Close your eyes and drift away into a vibrant and cheerful dream world full of adventure. This cozy, adorable adventure game features a full storyline told across several in-game days, a homestead for your crops and rescued animals, fishing, randomized maps full of resources, outfits which grant new abilities, a carefully selected soundtrack and sound effects, crisp and gorgeous pixel art, and 1 hour of playtime with automatic saves. You have 9 days to save the dream world. As a dream shaper, you are gifted with the ability to manifest dreams and guide them back into the hearts of those in the waking world. So this game is a really interesting mashup of a farming sim with a roguelite or roguelike type game. For me, one playthrough took about 50 minutes. And I actually really like that this game has the 9-day time limit. It felt very novel and interesting to me in a genre where usually you take your time, especially because this is a shorter game. I feel like having that kind of time limit gave me a strong sense of purpose. This is a really cute looking game overall. Like, the art style is very cute. I think a lot of the art is coming from asset packs, and I think it was really well put together. Everything kind of feels very cohesive. So I feel like this is a good use of asset packs. And the roguelike farming elements were just really unique. Basically, every afternoon you go out into like kind of these dungeon areas. It's called the Dreamscape, I think. And there is a time limit that kind of gets extended over time. And since it's just a minute or two, you really get into this flow state of trying to do as much as you can before you get kicked out of the dreamscape. And you also end up kind of strategizing over time over what activities to focus on while you're out in the dreamscape, because you can't do everything. And also, if you want to fulfill and craft all the things before the 9 days, then you kind of have to be smart about which resources you're collecting on which day to make sure you're getting enough of each in order to craft what you need. I got to Dreamscape level 24, so there's like different levels, like dungeons and caves often do have in these kinds of games. I have no idea how far it actually goes. Another interesting element of this game is that you switch outfits for different abilities. So when you're out in the Dreamscape, you can farm, you can do combat, you can tame animals, and you can fish, and there's different outfits for all of those. They're very cute outfits, and you can switch between them really easily. And I think the day loop of like morning taking care of your farm and your animals and kind of just like harvesting resources, and the afternoon doing the dungeon essentially, and evening crafting your items was a really nice loop. I also appreciate that this game introduces the mechanics over time so that it doesn't like front load you with everything all at once. And it saves automatically every time you sleep, I believe, which is great. Very standard for this genre. Obviously, manual saves are always nice, but I think for a game this short, that kind of save system works well. Also, I don't want to spoil anything, but it does seem like this game is built for replayability. There is kind of a narrative arc. I was really curious to see what would happen because I definitely didn't collect everything I needed to collect and craft everything I need by the end of the 9 days, and it was interesting to see what happened. And overall, I just really enjoyed this game a lot more than I was expecting, just because, you know, there are so many farming games out there. I wasn't sure if this would just feel too similar to other games, but I feel like it was doing a bunch of things that were kind of interesting that make it stand out to me. And something about this game just gave me Littlewood vibes, and I really, really, really love Littlewood, so that's a high compliment for me. I didn't collect like all the types of animals or the different types of fish in this game, but I feel like if you're someone who likes collecting, then this is a good game for that. And I think if I went back to replay, I would definitely try to collect all of the different types of creatures and such. This next game is short and sweet, and it's a love letter to a game many of us love, Animal Crossing. This game is called Homecoming Haven. You found an old memory card of someone else's game where they carefully and lovingly built their dream town, only to never show up again. Ever wondered what happens to your NPCs and towns while you were away for many years? Have you ever been scolded by them when you were back? Explore nostalgic memories left by the old residents and see what you can do to give this place some closure. Homecoming Haven is a short and bittersweet experience. So this game is very short. This is great if you're looking for like a little game snack, if you will, or a palate cleanser between other games. And it brought happy tears to my eyes at the end of playing this, honestly. I don't know if this will hit like this for everyone, but I think if you have a lot of love for Animal Crossing, and if you've had the experience of like abandoning an island and kind of revisiting it later, like I think this game will hit for you too. I was drawn to this game definitely a huge part because of the art style. It's just gorgeous art style, like pastel and beautiful. The game, like I said, it's short and it also is very simple. It's just like very, very simple puzzles that shouldn't be too hard for you to figure out. It took me about 12 minutes to play. And it has cute little inside jokes and references for people who are familiar with Animal Crossing. So if you're an Animal Crossing fan, I think it's a no-brainer. Like, you might as well play this. It's free, it's beautiful. It'll make you feel something. If you're not someone who's played Animal Crossing, I don't know if this game will hit for you, but I mean, take a look and decide for yourself. Next up, we're gonna talk about a space fishing game, y'all. This is the Anglerfish Project. Drifting through the lonely abyss of space, Patrick must use his lifetime of experience of fishing the earth and oceans to help the Foundation catch and decipher communication packages that conceal themselves in the cosmos. We help the people is their motto. But is that their goal? Thankfully, Patrick has someone he can talk to, a makeshift decoding probe called Paul. Use your friendly probe, Paul, to fish for communication packages in the cosmos, aim at an alteration in the sky, and being careful of your strength, cast your fishing rod. You will need to decrypt these hidden messages to keep everyone safe. Good luck, Angler. Okay, so this game also had me crying at the end, just like the last one, but this one was, yeah, just a very moving experience. A beautiful narrative. Took me about 30 minutes. The atmosphere of this was so relaxing because you're like in space, so it just feels like kind of a warm hug if you're a fan of, I guess, space vibes. The music was beautiful and very fitting, and I feel like even though the game is short, it does a really effective job of making you care for the characters and kind of get invested in their story because, yeah, I was feeling things by the end of it, and I wouldn't have been feeling things if I wasn't invested. The actual mechanic of the fishing into space is like really novel and interesting, I think. Like usually when we think of fishing, we think of catching fish, but I like that they applied it to something different, and what you're actually fishing is messages out of space. There is a kind of like slight challenge to these that ramps up where it's like both the aiming to catch the message, but also to decipher. There's like slight timing challenges, so just keep that in mind. I found it satisfying to do them though. Sometimes I would fail and have to try again, but it was never too hard for me to do. This game was just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. It's also just by a studio, Selkie Harbor, that I am quickly becoming a huge fan of. They also collaborated with another studio, I believe, on another game this past year that I adored. So yeah, that game is called Many Nights a Whisper. If you're curious, maybe I will include that in a future video. But yeah, I'm just a huge fan of what they're doing. Next, let's talk about Cottagecore Dress Up. Dress them up like nobody's business, live out your layering dreams, and vent your anti-capitalist anger by throwing hairbrushes around. This game doesn't have much of a description, but it is basically a Cottagecore dress-up game, and you can layer and you can customize colors fully. It's incredible. Like, there's literally a color wheel for every single item, and just like experimenting with the layering possibilities is really fun. The art style is so beautiful. I love it. There's also character customization, though it is limited, but you can at least choose your skin color. And I really love that you can even dress up like a little mouse. There's a little mouse like I wasn't expecting, but I clicked on the mouse and I could dress up the mouse. I spent way too long on doing that. But yeah, I feel like this game, obviously this is only going to work if you're into like cottagecore style. But I like that it's kind of constrained in that way because, you know, the artwork for all the clothing is really well done and you can just put together really interesting looks. I was really happy with the look I ended up putting together, and I can definitely see myself going back to this game just for like a quick little thing between other games, you know? I miss playing games like this that, you know, like the point is just the dress up. I mean, I get that hit from Infinity Nikki, but sometimes I want just something more simple and more focused on the dress up of it all. Take everything else away. So I appreciate that games like this exist. Next, we have another game on this list that really just blew me away. Again, cannot believe that a game of this quality is literally just available for free. Unlike other games on this list, this is also being actively worked on and developed. And this game is called Peggy's Post. As the new owner of a lighthouse-based post office, it's your role to sort mail, assign postage, and load parcels onto the correct delivery vehicle for shipping. Manage your earnings to upgrade your tools, purchase stamp packs, charter new ships, and above all else, pay off your loan in time, or the lender will foreclose on your lighthouse. So this game has two different modes. There's a 7-day cycle where the mechanics kind of are introduced to you over 7 days, which I think is perfect because it's not overwhelming all at once. It just felt like perfect to me. Every day felt a little more difficult and in a really satisfying way. That mode took me a little over an hour to play, but there's also an endless mode if you just want to play endlessly. So even though this game is being worked on actively, I would say you still absolutely can and should check it out right now because the 7-day mode definitely feels like a very complete feeling demo. The music and the atmosphere in this game is gorgeous. It's something I wasn't really expecting, but I was really happy to see. It just, I don't know, just feels kind of like gloomy, but in a very cozy way. I don't know if that makes sense. But it's like a dreary kind of coziness. And I got really locked in playing this game. Like I was not planning to play for so long. Like I looked up and I was like, oh, like an hour, 15 minutes have passed, got it. But it was just really, really satisfying to play. And I think that's because this game has a combination of a few different mechanics I really enjoyed. There's the whole shape puzzle thing, like organizing your postage in the different shipping containers. You actually have to like Tetris it a little bit. And you also need to strategize short-term versus long-term, today versus tomorrow, with what to keep in storage or on your desk versus what you can actually send today, depending on what routes are available today. And also the fact that there's a loan you have to pay off by the end of the week, I think has to add some fun pressure because you have to make your decisions strategic. Like you can spend money for certain upgrades that could make certain things easier or give you some foresight into what's going to happen tomorrow. Like for example, you can pay to have additional routes running the next day, or you can pay to have the newspaper delivered so you know what routes will be going the next day and you can decide what needs to be sent out today versus tomorrow, but that costs money, right? So yeah, overall, I really love this game. I am very, very interested to see the continued development. I mean, I peeped over at their Patreon and it does seem like they are actively putting out updates, which is a good sign. And I would love to play with whatever the end result of this game is going to be, because I'm honestly kind of obsessed. Like if this sounds even remotely interesting to you, go play it right now. The only thing I will say about Peggy's post is that it is a game that works your brain a little bit. So if you're not in the mood for that, stay away. But if you want to work your brain a little bit, it's great. Next, let's talk about this game with a very cute title. It's called Reincarnated as an adorable walking rock in a peaceful gardening sim game. In this game, you can choose to be Pebble-chan, Rock-kun, or Stone Sensei. Walk around growing plants and enjoying nature sounds. A cozy top-down 2D pixel art gardening sim sandbox with satisfying sounds. This is the perfect little short game. This game felt like the equivalent of like walking outside in the sun and touching grass. So if you feel like you need to do that, but the weather sucks where you are right now, play this game. I can attest to the sound effects and sound design of this game being incredibly relaxing. The water sounds, the sounds of you planting and removing plants are just very, very well done. The mechanics are simple, but there is room for like customization. It is a sandbox because you can plant plants by walking around with your little character and planting, but you can also rearrange them at any time using your mouse and kind of just drag it around. So you could potentially design a really intricate kind of garden because there are 3 different characters all plant different colored flowers as well. There's also a fun mechanic where if you dig up flowers, there's a small chance that a tree will appear, and then you can use the trees to design with too, which is really fun. The art style of this game is just beautiful, so soft, so cute. I love that the little rock people have little butts. Overall, just an extremely relaxing experience. Like I felt like my heart rate went down in a good way. Like I felt more at ease after playing this game and while playing it. After that refreshing little digital walk, if you're ready to work your brain again, I have a puzzle game for you. In Raide, it's time to rebuild some old train tracks. Features 20 plus tiny train tracks to build, endless mode, and maybe some secrets too. So I played this game for around 20 minutes, but there was definitely more to play. I did not play through it all at all. I think that would have maybe taken me a couple of hours if I'm understanding the scope of this game correctly. I just didn't want to blow through it all since for me, like with a puzzle game like this where I do have to work my brain, I need to take some breaks, okay? But I think I would like to go back to this for sure. This game is so polished. Like it just feels so good to play, like in terms of the art style, the sound design, like it just looks so good, feels so good. And I like that the puzzles are really short, so you can get like a good hit of satisfaction, solve something, and then just be done with it and move on to the next one. So I feel like this is a good game to kind of come to in between other games too, if you just want that little puzzle fix. I also really like the way the mechanics build in this game. So they introduce mechanics over time, so it's not overwhelming, slowly gets a little more difficult over time, which I think is what all good puzzle games do. And I think it's fun that they have little secrets. I don't think I actually uncovered any of the secrets because I think I need to play through more to do so, but I saw what the secrets were. Like I saw there were these interesting little things that I couldn't solve yet, I guess, that I'll have to go back to. And I'm not someone that loves every kind of puzzle game out there. I have some puzzle games I love, Gorogoa, Portal, etc., but I'm picky when it comes to puzzle games. But this one I really, really enjoyed. I think for me, it's just if I'm gonna play a puzzle game, I need it to make me feel smart. Okay, I just need that. And this one did make me feel smart. Next, for all the writers out there or the people who just love to journal, have I got the game for you. In the Shop of Good Memories, you visit the shop and you're free to take a memory and leave one in return. This game feels like therapeutic to play. So the way this game works is you have all these objects in this little shop, beautifully hand-drawn, a great art, and love the soundtrack. I think it's just one track perhaps, but it is a very good piano piece. But you can hover over different items in the store, and then if you open up a bottle, you can read the title and kind of the memory attached to that title. So for example, there might be one called Rainy Day, and then it describes a memory of a rainy day. And if you decide to take that home with you, which is just kind of a metaphor, you can't really like go home in this game, or maybe going home is just going back to reality, I don't know. But if you choose to do that, then you will get prompted to actually write out your own memory and give your own title for that memory. So I feel like this is really nice if you're looking for prompts, like either as a writer or just as someone who likes to journal, or someone who just wants to reflect or reminisce, whatever it is. You don't have to be into journaling to do this. I think it's nice because the entries are actually meant to be short. It's actually got a pretty short character limit. But I feel like that's nice because it just encourages you to not get too caught up in how you're writing what you're writing, but just to focus on conveying a memory. And because you can read other memories that are already provided to you in the game, that can kind of spark ideas in your brain. So for example, when I read a memory about a day with sunshine and fall leaves, that reminded me of a memory of my own life that I wanted to write about, which was nice. That was related to that memory. It's nice to see more reflective games like that that prompt you to do something that we don't usually tend to associate games with. Slowness, quietness, thoughtfulness. Yeah, definitely a very unique game on this list. Last but certainly not least, I want to talk about the game that's probably the least hidden of all the gems on this list, because I think it got some attention a couple years back. In Toripon, take photos of cute birds doing cute things and make people happy on the internet. Explore a surprisingly spacious inner city apartment filled with far too many pet birds doing their own silly things. Take photos and share them with your internet friends to spread the love around. The more bird pictures you post, the more your follower count will go up, just like real life. Unlock new birds by taking the right pictures and try to find them all. There's over 40 types of birds to discover, relaxing, no pressure gameplay, a colorful, delightful apartment to explore, learn some mildly interesting bird facts, cutting edge pixel graphics for maximum cuteness, share all your photos on a completely unrealistic social media simulation, and share your best photos on Twitter directly from the game. I don't think this works anymore, but that was a feature before. Also, there's an optional pixelation toggle for easier viewing. This game is adorable. If you love birds, go play this game. If you love picture-taking mechanics in games, like if you're a fan of Pokemon Snap, Alba, Toem, or any of those other games that focus on picture-taking, you might like this one. This game is definitely on the simple, relaxing side. Definitely don't need much brain power here, though it is fun to explore the apartment and try to find all the birds. I think that is actually a bit of a challenge. I didn't find them all, but the vibes here are just so silly and so fun. The birds are sometimes doing really goofy things around the apartment. So if you're someone who likes to just explore a little space, try to collect everything in that space, in the sense of by taking the pictures of the birds, you get to have them in your collection and you can see if you can actually find them all, then I think you will really, really enjoy this game. The social media aspect is very silly as well. Like there's just like, you know, automatic comments that populate under the pictures you take, but I like it. I really appreciate the care that went into the UI of this game. I think it just looks so darn cute. And I also really appreciate the accessibility aspect of adding the pixelation toggles. The default version of this game is very pixelated. I liked it. I thought it was fun because that actually adds a little bit of a fun challenge too, because it makes it harder to find where the birds are because everything's so pixelated. And then when you take the picture and you look at the picture afterwards in your fake social media feed, you can actually see like a more clear version of the picture. So I found that kind of satisfying. However, if the pixelation bothers you, if you get motion sick easily, whatever it is, if you just don't like the pixelated look, you can toggle it off and it'll just look like a normal 3D game. And it still looks cute that way too. So I really appreciate that they added that. And that is all the games I had to share with you on this list of free hidden gems from itch.io. I hope you found a game today that you hadn't heard of before. I'd love to know down in the comments what games stood out to you the most. If you tried any of these and you have any thoughts, I would love to hear it, because these are games that I don't really hear people talk about ever, really. So I'd really love to know what you think. Also, if you have any other recommendations from your side for cozy games that are on itch and not on Steam yet, so super hidden gem, would love to hear it. Let me know. If you found this video valuable, feel free to like it or give it a hype. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe. I make videos about cozy games in general, curated lists like this one, but also other stuff too, I guess. I don't know, I'm just trying things out. And I also stream on Twitch and YouTube. Lately, I've been streaming a lot of Animal Crossing. If you're interested in that, feel free to check that out. That's all I have to say today, so I'll see you in the next one. Bye!